Warning, the following presentation contains cold, hard truths that might change the way you think. Viewer discretion won't do you any good now.
Overload. Not to be confused with Overlord, Overwatch, or Overlord the Overwatch character. Prior to this game's release, Overload was being hailed as the spiritual successor to Descent. Very similar to how Yooka-Laylee was the spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie. But Overload was developed by Revival Productions, aka Matt Toshlag and Mike Kulas, aka Parallax Software, aka the guys who made Descent 1 and 2. Games that remind me of a better time in life. A time when you flew around and shot stuff, instead of walking around and shooting stuff. I mean, let's be honest. Fuck walking! Just kidding, I love walking. But their goal was to create some kind of fresh new tunnel shooter that celebrated the 20th anniversary of Descent. And boy, did they celebrate. This game is literally Descent, with updated graphics. But the fact that Overload is playable in VR really takes things to the next level. In fact, this is definitely one of the most vomit-inducing VR experiences you could possibly spend your money on, right behind Detached and To the Top. But if you're into classic games, 6 Degrees of Freedom, and if you like having your chest hair grow at the same time as your ball hair, Overload must be experienced. I mean, look at this. This is just fucking insane. The concept of this gameplay is extremely simple, as it should be. You fly through a maze of tunnels, shooting enemies, collecting power-ups, freeing locked prisoners, and unlocking more and more areas until you eventually make the level self-destruct and escape in a literal blaze of glory. Sound familiar? You upgrade weapons, you upgrade your ship, you can compete in multiplayer PvP modes, and you're also given challenge mode, which is totally separate from the campaign and features 12 additional levels where you just fight infinite hordes of enemies and compete in the leaderboards. Challenge mode is great if you want to turn your mind off, stop solving puzzles, and just shoot a bunch of shit. Another thing that's crucial in this genre is weapon selection, and this game definitely delivers. The Cyclone and Hunter combination might be my most desired, although where would I be without the Time Bomb, which temporarily slows down time, allowing you to really mess some people up. This game also offers cross-platform multiplayer. Sort of. PC players can play with PS4 and Xbox players, but PS4 and Xbox players can't play with each other. That's confusing as shit. Now, games like this sometimes have control schemes that are complicated and obnoxious, but I've never had such an easy time grasping the control scheme in a game like this. Not only does your ship move really smoothly through the air, but the braking is noticeably tight. Now, as you can see, the visuals and overall presentation in this game also really stick out. The game makes great use of light dynamics. There are times where the lights get so bright you think you might have a seizure, but then there are other times where you're sneaking around in pitch-dark caves trying to be stealth, and both are equally intense. The game has a very clean and simple look. Everything from menus to UI are just exactly what they need to be. Black and green. I'm also a big fan of this game's soundtrack. It's just all over the place. Some levels you get techno, others you get Judas Priest. Not really, but you'll see what I mean. The game is just drenched in nostalgia, and in so many different ways. But what really makes me happy is the fact that these developers understand that if you're going to make a 6 Degrees of Freedom sci-fi shooter, it sure as shit better feature a British woman narrating who's either a robot or just speaking in a semi-robotic tone.
We have arrived at Titan, 1.2 million kilometers from Saturn.
That female robotic voice is an essential part of this genre.
Shield, Solaris, shield, ammo.
God, I just love that trope. You know, I think the fact that I really like when a female robot voice is talking to me is not a good sign. Overload actually has a storyline, and it's not that shitty. And you know why? Because it's the exact same storyline as Descent. A bunch of intelligent machines went haywire on an off-world mining colony, and you have to rescue the survivors and discover the cause of the malfunction. But then you discover this deeper plot that I won't spoil, and it gives way to some pretty intense dialogue moments, thanks to some surprisingly good voice acting. Overload is the type of game that's just filled with so many little moments of gratification. One thing that never gets old is when you find a reactor that you're supposed to blow up. First you bring down its shields, and then you just start unloading everything you've got into that reactor. It's like letting out a nice big fart that you've been holding in for several hours. Now, with a title like Overload, one might expect to be overloaded with something. The truth is, this entire game could totally feel repetitive if you're not completely jazzed by the concept of this game. This is a very particular, old-school type of game that has been criticized for relying too much on nostalgia and old formula. Although, to be fair, the game is playable in VR, for Christ's sake, and across multiple platforms. Sort of. But one thing that does make this game very old school is the lack of a GPS. You can place markers around the map, but you'll only get a numbered counter telling you how far or close you are from the marker, which can sometimes be a little sucky. Now, throughout the game, you're able to use the Holo Guide, which is a little green drone that flies around and leads you to your next objective. And I honestly tried to play the game without using this thing once. But after about level 7 or 8, I had to cave and start using it. The levels in this game are just labyrinthian. I mean, just look at this area right here. How the fuck am I supposed to make sense of this? There are times when I wonder if this map is even meant to be deciphered or not. This just looks like a ball of shit. Sometimes I spend minutes just rotating it around until I can make any sense of it, and I barely ever can. Now, like I said, if you use the Holo Guide every 2 seconds, this won't really be a problem. But in the last 4 levels of the game, there is no Holo Guide, so you actually have to pay attention to your surroundings. And you may even have to consult the map every once in a while. It's bad enough if you have to spend any time looking at this, but it really doesn't help that the controls to navigate around the map are utter dog shit. Okay, zoom is fire. Secondary fire is zoom out. Ugh. Why does this feel exactly like the shitty map controls in No Man's Sky? Get your shit together with these frickin' maps! But really, all you have to do to successfully navigate these levels is to not be an idiot. Don't just barrel through every room like I tended to do. Actually take the time to explore, and make sure you know where you haven't been yet, and you'll probably have very little trouble. Now I'm gonna wrap this up just so I don't overload this review. If you're looking for a mindless tunnel shooter, steer clear of this game. You will actually have to use your head while playing this. Not only is the game pretty difficult unless you're playing on trainee, but the last 4 levels really do require that you pay attention. This is a really underrated game, but I can totally see why. It sticks to an old formula, which can definitely be tough to reacquaint with after being pampered by modern baby GPS simulators. The game has flaws, and I'm sure people will bitch in the wind that there's currently no online co-op. There is a PvP mode that I will probably never even try, but the single player experience is still insanely fun on its own. And it's also great to know that if I wanted to vomit on cue, I could fire up the VR version of the game and make that happen in under 7 seconds. These dudes have still got it, and everyone else take note, because this is what flying and shooting should feel like. And speaking of shooting, it's been a while since I killed myself. So until next time...